by philosophy from the Enlightenment due to disregard for self-legislation. Black team through ethics is a creature without dignity with social construction interior, which of the modern catastrophe, the legislated trade, Jim Crow, apartheid, ethics has been reduced towards something as people create the laws that bind. Mills 18, we start with person of the makers of the universal that binds. Black creature without dignity, the modern relationship by alien slavery and racial domination from colonialism, Jim Crow, apartheid. Afro-modern claims that social construction inequality, economic indoor how fundamentally they've shaped the world. Modernity taps on a social identical person, government, social equalizer, intelligent, white, the person unaffected, nature, they're socially effective person who's denied they have naturality, socially violent, biology who created some person not recognized equal in solutions to your pressure regarding notions of equal recognition and respect, generating necessity for a theory of grounding these notions. Any attempt to generate respect for Black lives governing content notions of freedom that require recognition for history and breaks with universality. Mills 2 are people want recognition and respect as human beings. Black consciousness to the demand for equal recognition in a world where disrespect is a norm. Racism content is not merely purge of content of racism, but attuned to these racially demarcated particularities. The background content does universals in very different ways. And consequential focus on solving oppression only seek to rectify problems around the agent with kind for agent and self-history produce alternative kinds of reality that make agents be themselves inferior. In a revisionary economy, seek to repudiate this ideology by generating commitment to self-worth and respect, rectifying structural problems built through universal principle of respecting principle that require adherence to history, abstract away from history on my universality because not include the inference unless they're because of the situation. Content all these of social ontology. The content respectable will repudiate this sub-person be lived with obligations to white supremacist ideology. Think of one self as a sub-person based on a certain inculcated historical and social picture of the world. Fear will thus seek out an actual history that could be because of domination and repudiate the ideology as justified. Assertion of Black can be read as assertion of equal person from classical white parents to BLM. Free of the thematic cards against racial subordination. Race being part of the declaration because they ignore historic invocation, overcoming self-hatred that's required. Terms on tasking down whiteness. The standard is consistent with Black radical conscientism. Intentions outweigh foreseen consequences. E-point culpability. Consequent and external forces make them both unpredictable self-and culpability. To B-point the problem induction. Induction has another deduction to only predict the future, which is circle only deduction self-mandating intentionality. Before additionally, one binding is understanding ethics is universal, but race specific is consistent with binding culturation, language of plurality, and inevitably speech just like universal strength, but that also creates a particular identity that agent form and agent interaction with universality. Bending. The talisman are certain words and decent remember that birth a child of a human community, the same speech and active speech is the actualization of plurality, blindness, human quality, human culture, humans understanding each other. This journey qualifies individuality, remember narrative, the ones whose action of individual and identity self is constituted. Second is parameters. Any standard is function interpretation word. That's what's a key question. Standard is real education. Any standing of content is key to understanding on the real because most in Bible psychiatry in their constitution. Germany group 15. The German basic law says the right to dignity basis for safeguards allegedly putting supposed to content terms could not grant the law that terms of the mere object. Real education key because it emancipates outside the range to be good advocates in their daily lives. Third is actor specificity. States opposite by bridging universal law to concrete identities for collective insurance. Pensky bracket for grammar. Universal approaches run over and the collective universal enforces that norms adjusted can meet the approval of all collective universal and criteria of collective norms in society having your particular question need to be addressed. Universal law, individual duties and rights and also the particles the kind of entity operating in the diverse society. Offense. I affirm resolve. The United States federal government should not provide aid to authoritarian regimes based on Black Lives Matter proposal. Clarify the plan destroys all 2019 proposal military to authoritarian regimes with human rights abuses. I'll spec anything in safety rights for publicity or theory debates. BLM rights. This solution limits the war-making ability for military, which will lead to closure of military-based elimination of sale weaponry to human violator of human rights. Reduces the use of stockpiling nuclear weapons. Increase accountability at federal setting. Honest military contractors drastically lowers war casualty by limiting bloodshed of casual civilities. Provides reparations to countries and communities by devastating war working and such as Libya, so sees the military to countries with human rights violations. Shift natural resources to peacemaking. Expands resources available some reparation. Contributes to civilization, including Somalia, Kenya, Congo, Libya, and the military is itself inherently imperialistic and predicated on stockpiling power while domestically damaging Black folk. BLM 2. America's an empire that uses war to expand power. American wars are destructive to Black communities and not keep Black people's locally locally offer profits and provision Black from the death of our diaspora. While resources are domestic infrastructure diminished, U.S. military after 50% of federal spending by about $598.5 billion spent annually. Resource need for equitable settings and you should wage war. Somalia is included in military mention and has been treated as recognition for joint policy. U.S. backed African armies that committed atrocities and the result of policy divergence in funding that meets the innocent and complicit in the abuses and reject any negative arguments that denies unique confirming the U.S. justified the expansion of the war on terror to attack African countries and place them in great jeopardy. The Black radical tradition uniquely needs international coalition building implying the outlet was any negative critique. BLM 3. The expansion of war on terror has been expressing the violence with the U.S. attacking people via arms or even rebels who violated human rights and all Libya's migration has been placed in even greater jeopardy. Family do not face rebel groups who attack and smugglers that make them versus their own lives. Hundreds of Africans are drowning in the Mediterranean. This Western role creating this crisis. Resources should be used to repair the damage within a global community where our inequitabilization with the necessary connection for global liberation. Movement the Black Country has always been rooted in connections across the global south. The recognition of liberation and interest the liberation of Black and brown people. The movement for Black lives must be tied to liberation movement. Violence with the United States intimately linked with the empire and war making. Underneath for comparative world parenting. One is fairness and the other is one of the West is restart the one negative detergents and time management. We have a worse discussion. Even this topic discussion is slightly better. Second, reciprocity. Truth testing besides things like NIB, SCEPS, operating presumption, principle, given freedom and intervention focus of 1 year time techniques that engage all this. 2 and third, truth testing assumes resolution go just like depression. Scogging it over. Truth testing proposed discussion of resolution 1925. There were policy topics for both men and women. If women had to give their fourth line, truth testing women to be barred from discussing inherent sex. And the proof of topic in Islamic center be built near ground here. There are good reasons to prefer not to debate a particular topic. These have been spelled out over decades of debate scholarship. Choosing we're making arguments that the topic is harmful. Comparative views may spell software except and comply with intuition. Blunt or subject external factors. The experience of inference of the priority pragmatics is easy values like exclusion, debate, and fairness creep. And second is theory. Paradigm 8.1 theoretic theories of German ensures influence abusive one and CP point drop the bakers split because the torsion would have fair and substance theory because after theories drop the argument short theories of recursive loads time trial for checking the C point keeping interpretation since it's working multiple layers of missing problems assuming the necessity check on defensive jump C point. No great statistic when chewing up with the areas of trial possible. Third, the negative meter not be necessary but insufficient burdens. 8 point is reciprocity means that you always get to choose one advantage because you try to win by proving that the app doesn't meet some sort of linguistic burden or negating by proving that the app is bad, whereas I only have one burden, which means you always be able to learn. B point is clash means that most of these strategies are defining to read a bunch of bad arguments and to minimize clash, which is that we focus on debating more educational measures around for debaters and instead of clash. Fourth, meta theory outweighs negative T in theory. 8 point is absolutely being index your argument. You can possibly rank this leverage argument because each episode is able to make this argument. People logicality evaluating substance theory in the same way would be like evaluating theory and substance on the same way would be logically coherent. 15 times distinct new framing or theory. 8.62 times even the tutorial means that it will debate easily. B point judge interpreting increases because like breaking. C point do with the whole one over the new frame 2 and R6. Skip the 6th argument. The second is use reasonability on neg T in theory. 8 point is that you have a 13 times T from the tutorial, which is actually have the ability to be able to comment disadvantage. B point is that binary T definition make the opposite make a T every single one, which is you shouldn't punish from even for going in blind. 7 is pragmatics. Ways semantics on T. 8 point is the after debating on a topic like baseball is 97 close to their interpretations. Pragmatic on strength of link. B point longevity. Pragmatics on the skill debaters with the rhyme. So it's ways on duration. Towards the end, a lot of it got extemmed. So
Okay.
yeah. Or well, a lot of the warrants are extemmed too. So yeah.
George 6?
Yeah.
Okay, what did you not read in the underview?
I read everything. I just extemmed things.
Okay, what happened after that?
After where?
After the 6th point.
What
happened after the 5th point?
Okay, after the 5th point, to clarify, the 5th point was tuner doesn't need deframing on T.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I wasn't looking at the docs, sorry. So the next point was that I get reasonability on neg T in theory.
Okay, why?
2 warrants. 8 point is that I have a time T from engaging, which prevents me from being able to engage the nuances of T in theory.
Okay.
The 8 point is that binary T definitions make me subject to like infinite interpretation, so I shouldn't be punished for going in blind. I should be able
Okay.
that I'm reasonable.
Yeah. And what's the 7th argument?
Pragmatics outweighs semantics on T.
Okay.
Do you need the warrants for that, or are you good?
Yeah, it's fine. Let's go into the first card. What is this Mills 1 evidence saying?
So this Mills 1 claim justifies 2 things. One, it says that, like, there's a problem with theories that haven't accounted for things or like normal philosophy because there's like this problem with the world, i.e. that like blackness was deemed as a creature throughout the Enlightenment as like something without essential dignity, right? So they're excluded from different like moral theorizing, right? Like Kant was explicitly a racist, right? Like did not exclude different things, right?
So what kind of like definition of, do you defend like a Kantian version of the subject?
Yeah, like the entire app is Kantian.
Okay.
It's just that there's like a problem with the world and how it's viewing philosophy, and it requires some sort of revisionary approach to solve that, right?
Okay.
Like the app is very much a Kantian app. Like it's full on support of that. So. There are just certain things that matter more to Mills than
let's go into the op-ed. So how is this not consequentialist?
Oh yeah, so there are definitely parts of it that are consequentialist. If you read util, I will trigger that stuff. But the only relevant piece of offense is the BLM3 card, which says that this proposal is specifically key to be able to generate some sort of respect for like a global black diaspora around the world, right? So like what like the framing has indicated is that U.S. military aid is imperialistic and has been used to like deny and create this sort of like creation of like sub-persons, right? But anything that focus or like this specific plan test, which is being proposed by the BLM, right, is something that should create a space to assert equal personhood, right? And that's consistent with the AF.
Okay. So this is like a testimonies warrant, or?
No, it's not.
Okay.
This is just a reason as to why like this proposal is good. But like there are warrants for why, like I can make reasons for why it would outweigh because they're like the BLM. Yes. So.
Okay. Do you defend implementation?
Do you want me to?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so you defend the state, just to clarify. Just to clarify, you defend the state.
Like the U.S. federal government
Yes.
does a resolution. Yeah, sure, go for it.
Okay.
It's not relevant to the AF, but yes.
Okay. Okay, that's it.
Cool.
Just
Starting prep.
prep those now.
Do you want to stand?
Yeah.
Where do you want to put it?
Just right there. Are the paradigm issues bidirectional, you read?
Well, you should make an argument because I have as-specific warrants.
Okay.
Right? Like it would be incoherent to say the neg gets reasonability because you have to face binary T definitions, right?
Yeah.
So like make an argument. Whose card for doing?
Valley IN.
Two Valley kids back to back. Is he gonna have
Same
the
side.
same nibs bad spike after the same text?
No, we moved that spike to a different location and put a different spike in that location.
Oh, I see.
Okay, that's 3:30.
Yeah, I have that too. You have 30 seconds left.
Yeah.
What's the order?
3 off case.
3, okay. I assume the underview.
It's just gonna be a few overview arguments that, yeah, the underview.
Okay. Wait, like where should I flood those overview arguments?
Just like I don't know, like at the top of the app.
Okay.
Here, I'll just say
Yeah, no problem.
my email is very slow, I'm sorry.
No problem. As long as you're not stealing crap.
I'm not.
Don't worry.
What?
Oh, shit.
Some of the arguments will be accepted.
Yeah. Reciprocity, right? I do it, you do it too. What's the order?
3 off case.
Alright, hold up. I'm still downloading it.
Good, you are. Okay. Interpretation the bears disclose new absence table, the beaters violation, you would even give sustained absence text series, and this absence new one is inclusion of decision to break news, not able to around the news about their different privilege, no division posted for the ability to plan of social situation interactions according to Alexander belonging to the autism spectrum. Alexander 15. A stable for one changing environment is another important issue factor not to say personal well-being and noticeable people may not even notice the sitting impact on my overall well-being when it's obviously my personal life no longer feel safe to react and the AC but unacceptable and unsafe speech from Rohith data to form content discriminating that both disease and towards the FDR's more evidence from Alexander like many people not I find it difficult to change my daily life. Every person on the autism spectrum falls more or less say established the routine usually in advance of your needs on a given day the more established these routines are the harder to insert another event more difficult for the person of them and your role as educators to challenge dominant ableist mindsets and my practice putting it against the effort because the spill over and I realize the community we decrypt the main focus on these versus challenging him as many exemptions of it nor not even to debate what is from engagement in the educational sphere back in 2013. This disabled discrimination justification of disability focusing on the range of pedagogy system pedagogy to critical development more innovative conception of inclusive education inclusive society teaching strategies to challenge disabilities a form of oppression that non-disabled students are not encouraged to challenge disability oppression that is also reinforces disabling ideas and practices and through their failure to disclose spikes in the data dysgraphia as well as other disabilities cause around becoming inaccessible for me additionally we expect independent reason to lose Thompson 13 prospects including individuals learning disabilities values the data if I sense that any ignorance and privilege would never wanted to try the national circuit the debate here but not having questions handling their teaching spikes I give the dimension of randomness against motivators when criminal beat them more reliable lose them we can think of what these last spikes must generally beat them we must and you might know one specific is all over in the text I can have a theory. In interpretation, the affirmative specify whether form substance or both qualifies the government receiving aid as authoritarian regime to clarify must delineate whether or not we consider a government authoritarian based on its political structure, i.e. North Korea, how it acts and given its political structure, in democratic form, i.e. Israel, to clarify basically you have to see if it's like government structurally authoritarian or authoritarian in practice. The two can be mutually exclusive. Wait for 18. Authoritarian regimes is potentially the most important interpretation of the round. We see two main interpretations. The first deals with any political system that does not consider the responsible people. The other definition will look at notice rather than the mechanism is the authoritarianism and attempt to control public violation. They don't specify today's standard on the jurisdiction. Sense of the resolution on the makes sense of the effort of state of affairs, for example, statement, the lake is read as incoherent if you don't know what the lake refers to, that means absent specifying what constitutes a specific category. Plenty regimes of resolutions incoherent to shift this, I can read the ASCP linking the only substance regime like Israel, the US, absent committing to the AC, the one area to say, oh, I don't defend and invest invalid against speech time and 3 ground. I fundamentally don't know the reading against traffic, I don't know the substance links, the X and stops, I have to wait 6 minutes to start an anti strategy, also impacts the education, my doesn't like it, I don't know what to do. We never actually studied in the class of the apples, means that A, we never learned, B, should presume after all, there's some arguments false, and I couldn't respond. And voters, first draft the debate, first shot, the first one, the first basic competitive activity got girls, can evaluate the better debate, as a second education schools fund the for education by that's the only thing is being in the first place again. Draft the debate, next 3 8 the turn to be strong, so rather use the whole army logic can evaluate around affairs, violations, see time, right down, about September, engaging against something finally possible, the only fair education thing to do is to over be and over as 8 is the first agency collapse for theory 4 minutes, the 1 hour shift, excuse me over, and the 3 minutes we are always collapse, because they said RBS is logical, you can't make RBS defense, see when RBS encourage race about the point for theory instead of actually being a substance for convenience interpretations of reasonability A, and then instead of as the 2 are always collapse reasonability instead of actually addressing the community shell and friendly setting norms B point reasonability is arbitrary to versus no inherent violence, C point reasonability, and standardizes judge intervention to see if the violence has actually been better for additionally, if they justify competing interpretations for after they should also justify for negative theory also there, then there was inherently be irreversible causing structural gets negative. Third off is the K. The affirmative means the phrase going into the round blind is theoretical claim to indicate they didn't know something about the round ahead of time, which is blind to the syndrome for lack of knowledge. This connotation inherently ableist against the blind to the blind actors and moral and ethically aiming to clarify this is their 6. So this is their 6 by company and also the AC should be 11. Signifies disability and point discourse or present disabled people blindness use the rhetorical device signal for lack of knowledge and those aiming to more downfall blindness as a metaphor is the meanings associated blindness for lack of knowledge like the blind people can be noticed in philosophy and that's harmful. This more disability metaphors like the after for structurally ableist and normalized culture excluding disabled bodies. Rod number 14. We use words to construct framework with which we experience every time we speak we are affecting what people see through disability metaphors are deeply instructive, violent, impressive, and then disempowering to disabled people in the culture's language full disorder metaphors about a group that the culture is not going to see those people as fully equal on case. Overview your common offense overview. First, permissibility consumption of negative 8 point if presumed obligations to regrowth and anything of P presumed obligations both to P and not to P, which is a logical contradiction. B point statements are often false and more often false than true. For example, if I say that the head in my hand is red, there's one world in which it's red, but an infinite amount of worlds where it's not red. C point is that it's more ethics. If you presume everything should be presumed, no presumed actions after doing anything which leads to the same morally repugnant actions. So it's ethically safer to presume negative and practical reasons contaminated by experience. 3. So 6. One does not stand completely apart from one starting point of evaluative judgments, rather one right reasons in terms of we test our judgments, they don't test the difference between within the same judgments. Thus, all reflection has been assessing evaluative judgment. However, the field of my confession offers no escape from the conclusion that most evaluative judgments appear likely to be false. Additionally, Kant fails 8.8. Kant fails 8.8 is the objection. We can be the applications would actually be to be doing it. For example, like complete soccer for the purpose of having cut instead of being an agent. B point is your concept of agency presupposes what it seeks to prove. You presuppose an I then thinks himself into existence, which is logical and universalizable. He fails 8 point is tailoring objection. I can tailor a maxim that only applies to me. For example, only carrying people against how viewpoint universalizable ability isn't binding. People take down universalizable actions all the time, which proves that not a contradiction doesn't act. A con, which proves that a contradiction doesn't actually occur on the offense. Though inherency shut down as frozen AP payments chain 18. According to the most recent something on international aid payments, the US dollars could be stalled with the funding issues that's sorted out takes up the app to defend implementation, but there's no way to actually implement the app, which is justify voting negative, which is just voting negative presumption insofar as voting negative on presumption insofar as they can actually fiat second on the offense. Your way of achieving your solution to blackness through politics, is progress and promise hope for black body, whether there isn't any system always replicate automatic violence, black knives, and ethical framework capable of addressing this antagonism turns case 115. Reverse justification of relationships, political black caps, or fractions as defensive man. We hope America and then to correct and finally find the anthropological creation that have black community can imaginary around legal violence and democracy, the 14th Amendment. Yeah, we must approach this host things together, but we so late it becomes impossible to think the political black suffering, cut the card after black suffering. On the underview proper overview. Reject one of your theory, 8 when you can blow up dropped arguments in the next page, drop dropped arguments in 2 hours, something excuse me, I'll be put into 2 hours. As you said, the 6 times should then see put into 2 hours, infinity always collapse when a theory don't definitely undercover it. In the NCD, one of your theories, one of your theories a lot irresolvable ones of ours. I can only make arguments to an hour, however, I can't actually extend those arguments, we can never actually resolve those arguments, we can never actually resolve those arguments first, as you say infinite use, but even though the abuse is indifferent, and the NC necessarily reactive, and B point is that there's always going to be different things you could do, you could have just read it, more you could have just read it, you could have just read a more strategic, absentee, I can't read names, but there's no right in front of nibs, and B point names are key to rule that changing because nibs like the Constitution happen all the time, and policy we can arrest policy, you can do this, I was back in on the class, this is just not unique, using meta theory, I was negative theory, but 8 point others, there's infinite use of future space, and involving and forcing it into an argument, do a B point 5 1 more, so one of your theories is logical, that obviously takes out by meta theories logical, you can't leave one by meta theory, C point, this justifies why I get to our meta theory, because if we need to actually engage meta theory, test things, you can read one of your shell, that's fundamentally meta theoretically legitimate, obviously, but that would obviously justify my ability to that on your reasonable argument. So, cross the reason before you say times 2, this is a lengthy or going from line, just 3 times since you do just respond to it. And second, cross by the argument before the binary definition is this is inherently true, this is not unique, and suppose the ACD do this too, and you justify competing in terms of creates the nearest symbol to you.
Alright. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any a priori's in the ONC?
No.
Okay, so is there anything besides permissibility that is a quote-unquote nib?
I don't think anything is a nib.
Nothing is a nib in the 1NC.
Well, I mean, like, what do you define a nib as?
Okay, so if I stood up and link turned every position on the 1NC and gained offense off of that, and that was my only route to the ballot.
Yeah.
Okay, like I just link turned everything. I don't go for the F, and I don't respond to any of the arguments on K's. Like I link turn the K, I go for the RBI on like both the shells, and I link turn both the shells. And I don't respond to anything else.
I'd say the other case turns, like for instance the warrant card is a case turn, then the permissibility stuff, like if you justify, you can go for why like permissibility affirms are like.
I want you to concede that you will not go for anything unless it's not linked back to an explicit framing mechanism. That framing mechanism can be competing in terms, like I don't care. But like the K needs some rolled ballot to link back into, and so do like every argument that you go for.
Wait, that's a very vague statement. I'm not just gonna say like yes or no to that.
The only thing is that it gets rid of nibs. I want you to take a stance right now.
On what?
Everything you go for in the 2NR has to link back to an explicit framing mechanism.
What do you mean by that? Like.
Yeah, for theory, competing in terms. For critique, a roll of the ballot. For case turns, the app framework. Everything has to link back into an explicit framing mechanism.
I mean, I feel like that would just happen anyway, right? Like,
okay, so nothing in the 1NC negates, absent the app standard, the negative critique, or both the theory shells.
I mean.
Yes or no?
Some of the, I'd say that like the street card would negate the resolution.
The what?
The resolution.
Which one?
The street of 6 argument. And like, here's an example, right?
Which
so,
one is that? The
street of 6. Yeah. So if I would
like the practical reason is
if I would like,
that's fine.
Or if right,
wait, so is the only thing that like can trigger permissibility like the case framework?
Yeah, the case framework responses.
Okay, that's it.
Only framework responses. Yeah, I'm not going to trigger. There's no a priori or permissibility
good.
triggers in the K's or the.
Okay. Sounds good. Let's.
Like
okay.
shell.
So let's go to the UAF's bad shell. So, I also explicitly asked you when you were walking away if you wanted more information about the app.
Wait. First of all, you didn't. The second of all, this entire interaction is non-verifiable, right?
Oh, okay. So the violation isn't verifiable.
I mean, the violation is verifiable because this app isn't on your wiki, so it's a new app.
Yeah, but like you haven't posted screenshots, it's not verifiable. Right?
I mean, do you want me to send screenshots in the 2NR? I'll do that.
That's fine. All right.
Like, but I definitely did ask you for the standard, and your only response was like,
wait.
Whoa.
So the violation comes from me not giving you the standard.
Wait, the
bits,
violation
right? That's
comes
based
from-
on an out-of-round interaction.
I mean, like this shit. Wait.
Yeah, that's based on an.
It's
okay.
a
That
spoken
sounds
shell.
that sounds good. Second shell. What is? So, like, what is the abuse story based off of the shell? Like, what's the distinction between the different types of authoritarian regimes?
So there's two kinds of authoritarian regimes. There's form regimes, which like North Korea, their political structure is authoritarian, and there are substance regimes like Israel, where their political structure might be a democracy, but they act authoritarian. Right? So it's like, do you defend one or both?
I'm good.
Okay.
Okay, I have 30 seconds left.
What's the order?
116. Oh, right, sorry. Like the shells, we see, and then the critique.
So there's not going to be a new L.
No. Unfortunately.
What's the order?
The shells in order, and then it's going to be then the K. You guys good? Yeah, I'm fine.
Counter-interpret new aspects, conflict their interpretation with the apply if the app is topical, results 100% of the offense, the app is both predictable within the scope of their prep, so there is only back to any of their distance. The standard first is standard is recipe. The apps will have to base massive prep outs and disclosing the app efficacy means that the app is researchable. Their two facts back this argument 8 point is fairness, means that the app can never win since they will always be structurally disadvantaged by disclosure. Norms, B point education, disincentivize the debater from exploring new apps and exploring the literature to come up with more new apps. B point is second is reciprocity. Negative strategy isn't disclosed ever, and apps are always supposed to come up with a strategy in round that sets to make the level playing field by making sure they're removing that advantage, which also means that it's more enrollment and link turns 100% of your arguments that are made on your inclusion net benefits. Now, starting on your inclusion arguments, you're on the shelf proper. First thing is that you did not disclose the 1 and C, which is uniquely problematic because you it also means that you put yourself over an advantage over other debaters that also have the same sort of privilege that you were talking about. Second thing is that turn it to norm to not disclose the opposite, which is that it is definitely normal. The context of this evidence is just talking about how people or the people that have some sort of neuronormative or a disadvantage or to taste things that are outside like the scope of what is normal. But too bad, this is just a norm thing. Third is that this conflates something. Nothing is unsafe or violent that I'm doing. You're conflating what violence is doing that or with something that's completely different. For example, people that have this sort of problem that you're identifying do not have to eat, or when they eat new breakfast every day, that does not mean they are always going to face violence. In the same way, the app reading a new plan text doesn't do anything as long as it's within the scope of the topic. The spikes bad stuff at the bottom. First thing is that this is not disclosing does not solve any concern on any of the offense. Failure to disclose spikes will still cause a bunch of problems. This argument just spikes bad because you don't solve. Second counter-attribution, I don't have to disclose spikes if they were extent. That means the net benefit is that it's impossible for me to disclose between the content trigger and infinite aggression. I can't be able to disclose the spike. Third is that turns better to check back on the abusive position. Literally the entirety of the app was just like nibs bad and taking stance against things that are problematic, which is there's nothing bad against him as long as you don't. But the plank, second off, or the second spec. Counter-division, I can choose not to specify a definition in the 1AC if I'm willing to specify cross-examination. Also means that don't assume I'm a cheater. It also means that it takes out the entirety of the cross-examination and solve arguments. And that benefit is limit specification explicitly after because I can read any specification. I.e., for example, I can say authority is based on right populism, right wing. I can say based on just fascism or uniqueness claims or many things. Straight back to point research where it makes that preparation impossible because of the fact that I can bifurcate between endless affirmatives rather than like to defend one making destruction possible negate always or claims on magnitude. B point is fairness specification encourages trading moving off the least amount of ground which skills I get engagement and assessing the app. Now group all their standards. They're all based on the fact that me not specifying means that they don't get links to certain things aren't doing that. First thing is a jurisdiction has to impact the judge, but can always be able to vote. You still know what the app does, what the plan text is. So it's really not. Second thing is that cross-examination is the only thing that's stable. I can kick out anything in the 1C. The fact that the 1C took a stance means that at least it was willing to take a stance would be sufficient enough to be a terminal beef. And third is that turns